I'll just jump real quick. Hang on, let me turn the comments on. Hi, Jenny. Thank you. Hey, Kate. Not a problem. Belinda, Sally, Barbara, how are you all? Michelle? Nice. So guys, we have MBS coming up next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Pre-bookings are open for Thursday and Friday at the moment, so you'll need to call me for Saturdays or Sundays. But yes, MBS next week, looking forward to that. That's going to be awesome. So guys, as always, just remember to... Sorry, I'm just reading the questions, I'm getting distracted. If you're on here, please chuck me a like or a love heart, always appreciate that. Feel free to repeat your questions. Please don't smash the live feed, but if I do miss you, feel free to comment more than once. And other than that, let's get started. I'm just going to jump up the top here and grab the beautiful kit. Alright, so guys, please, if you have a specific question, ask a specific question. Otherwise, I'm more than happy to do a general read for you. Alright. The workshops too, guys, on the 4th and 5th of June, they're up. Let me focus on you, Kate. Nice, yeah. When I focus on your cards, Kate, you've got the bigger picture, seal the deal, where are you? When I sit with your reading, it's nice. Let's go, yeah, nice. It is. It's like throwing some focus towards. So what the bigger picture focus on, losing my words, seal the deal, make a commitment to move forward. When I sit with you, I just want to say that to you as well. It's almost like there's like goals and things I want to do, and you know, even if they're fun things, and you know, there's almost like there's just this bucket list that's sitting in the closet, and every now and then I pull it out and I polish it off and I dust it off, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, you know, jump to these things. But then, you know, little things get in the way, and I feel like you've got a lot of energy that goes outwards and not necessarily enough that comes inwards to you. So, you know, self-love and all of those kind of things, yep, they're there, and you know, I want to jump onto that as well, but without making it about that, I want to pull that list out and really kind of harness it off. I feel like there was something that you keep meaning to do that you've been putting off, all right? And you know that it's going to actually benefit for you in the future. You know that it's going to bring you good things, but I do feel like not everyone or everything aligns with you around it, and so there's that little bit of, you know, gap in between what you want and perhaps what you think other people want and sit around you. But then you've got the Where Are You card, and for me that card is one of the biggest cards in the deck, and it is just asking you that, like, where are you? You know, what's important to you? What's missing for you that you really want to kind of, you know, that you need, and that if come the end of your days, you look back and you go, gee, I wish I did that. All right. So for you, I want to say to you, Kate, just that. All right. Just sit back and have a look and see what are those things that keep coming back around for you that you keep going, yeah, I want to do that one day. It's time to sort of start throwing a little bit of energy towards that. And I just feel like it's around you at the moment. And as I said, that it has been around you before in the past several times. But you take it and you put it to the side and you deal with what happens around you and what needs to be done. So a little bit more focus inwards, because as I said, I do feel like this is important to you. When that card comes up about where are you, it is about that. It's like, what's making you happy? What brings you your satisfaction? What brings you your happiness? And what is missing in that, and what you can actually do about that to make it change, okay? So I hope all of that helps, Kate. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Alright, let me catch up with the comments a little bit here. You know what, Andrew, it kind of doesn't. Like, people change and grow and, you know, mature, and who they are in their 20s isn't going to be in who they are in their 30s and in their 40s. So, yeah, absolutely, the drama can tap it down and people choose to step away from it and things like that. But when there's a culture that's there, that culture tends to remain. And I say that like I have a good basis of knowledge for that. Let's just put it that way. And in the end, you kind of choose what's right for you and yours. And you know, the family that is around you and the children that you create and the partners that you have, that becomes the next step, the next stage, you know, almost like the, you know, breaking the cycle kind of energy that's there. So, yeah, absolutely people change, but as a whole, I find that the culture is very difficult to shift over a long period of time, especially when there's a lot of people involved, and you've just got to make those decisions within yourself, what is right for you. Same as what I was just saying to Kate, that's there, you know, what serves you, what doesn't. Let go of what doesn't. Just because you're related to them, it doesn't mean that you actually have to have relationships with them. That's Yeah. Wow, what happened there? Everything just went and jumped in front of me. Alright, I lost just where I was, that's okay. No, I can't find it. That's okay. Jane. God. I missed returning a message for Jane when she was here, so I do apologise for that. I was on my butt after the Easter show for a good couple of weeks and then spread it around, so that was fun. Is this new business the right decision for me? It's not that the business isn't a right decision. The reasoning for the business, that thing that drives and goes, yeah, wow, this could actually work, is spot on. I like that energy, I can really sit with it. But when I sit and I look to the side of it, so either people that we're dealing with, contracts that are coming into play, but I want to still attach it to the people that we are dealing with. And it's not like it's the people, it's the person, okay, within that. And I just feel, just to be mindful, it's not that I need to say that everything's going to fall apart, but if you don't have really clear boundaries from the start and you don't, there's no room for compromise here. Like, it's about being nice and all the rest of it that's there, but business is always before pleasure, so I just feel like the reins have to be held really tightly. If this was a horse that I was riding, this horse wants to kick, it wants to buck, and it's a little cheeky smarter thing, so I've got to really keep the reins tight and show it who's in control, basically. And I feel like that's what the energy is here. And so absolutely, me and that horse are going to then go have a beautiful ride off into the bush. But it's the same energy here. If I don't hold those reins tight, there's a good chance that I'm going to get thrown off somewhere and get hurt. So that's the warning that I kind of want to put around with this. The idea in itself, the energy that's there, everything else is really nice with it, but it's what's attached to it. It's not that it's not right, but it needs to be kept tight. As I said, those reins need to be kept really tight with it. I feel like this is something that takes a matter of time to build up. So I don't feel like I walk into it with that boom, boom, boom of money that comes straight in with it. I feel like it's something that wants to build up. It's like step by step by step. And I feel like I'm sitting, it's almost like it is in increments with that, like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. And I don't necessarily want to sit with that equal division through it, but that's what the energy is like with it, okay? It's, we'll see this and then we'll have that and we can build on it that's there. But as I said, you need to be mindful about what's sitting around you. There's something about the building. There's something about a building. I keep getting a vision of a building in my head. I keep seeing a guy attached to it that I feels like a landlord. And it's funny because this is separate to where I sit with it. But I just feel like there's, say if there's a leasing agreement over something, that one of the terms and conditions is going to be changed. And it's almost like, oh no, that was there in the first place. Or, oh no, it doesn't include the all. It's that kind of energy. So just really kind of make sure everything is clear as well on that side of things. I'll just keep popping back to it. But it's a beautiful energy, and I feel like as far as the place goes, and I know I can move forward with it, but just check on the terms and conditions. Clearing out the stables, be open to accepting changes and letting go of things that bind you. So again, for me, I feel like your message just there is that you may tend to sort of fall back on old habits and patterns and ways of dealing with people, whereas now it needs to be different, okay? You did have a jump card, yeah, because that way doesn't work for you, all right? So just be mindful. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to put my big girl's panties on, and even if you're my friend, right now we're not friends. We're business partners, and that's how we're going to communicate, and that's how we're going to deal with things, and I've got this, so listen to me, and I don't mean that in an abrupt way, but you understand, okay? Like, it really does need that kind of strength and ownership taken over it from the get-go. So I hope all of that helps. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Michelle Zanino, thank you for joining me this evening. Guys, if you're here, I always appreciate a thumbs up or a heart. It helps with my algorithm and takes 2 seconds. While I shuffle for you, Michelle, again, there is workshops on the 4th and 5th day for psychic and mediumship development. There will be a 4-week course released as well over the weekend. that will run for those of you that want to do it online. So it'll basically be a full day but broken up over 4 weeks. All right, Michelle, let me focus on you. You got a lot of topsy-turvy cards. I need to take a breath. Ooh, I wonder if we have a theme happening. All right, so you've got the self-trust, self-belief card that's there, and I always like that card. It's about kind of really just taking a step back with yourself and allowing yourself that room to even make mistakes so that you know that you can trust yourself and, you know, where your intuition is. And it's funny, I was having a really interesting conversation this morning with somebody about the differentiating the difference between your intuition and anxiety, and like where the cut-off between those two things are, and not allowing your anxiety to deplete your intuition, and, you know, vice versa. And so sitting with you with that, and for me it was about identifying where it sits in your body, you know, especially the anxiety. It always sits in a particular spot. So, and I'm not suggesting you've got anxiety, but I do want to say, like, really sort of sitting back and recognising yourself. So when I feel like this is what happens. When I feel like this is what happens. Because I just feel at times there's like confusion around the emotions and what they actually mean, and, you know, what you're supposed to do with them and things like that. But usually when we get to that point, it is because we do have already a beautiful level of self-awareness. It's just that next level coming in, okay? So you've got the calling on your strength card that's there, and you've got the where are you card. And when I sit with that, I feel like there's repeating patterns that are around you. You know, like just sometimes when we look back and we reflect and we go, you know what, 2 years ago I was doing this, and I kind of find myself caught in the same lessons again, not necessarily the same place. But I feel like there's repeating around, and I feel like that is because we sit with, when I sit with it, I get this vision of like a bag over you, and that bag is fear, you know, and you're breaking at it, but it's not quite, you're not quite bursting through with it. You know, it's, it's a little bit safer here. And so just, you know what, like, I know it's a silly example because I'm talking about bigger things, but for me, on a personal level, it meant something for me. So like at the Easter show, we always talk about doing the big slide, and I'm shit scared of heights. Like, I can tell you funny stories about me and heights, and but the big slide's there, and every year I go, I'm going to do the slide. Anyway, 3 years in a row I haven't done this slide, and it comes to the last day I was working at the Easter show, and, you know, the people were there, and I was making excuses in my head as to, you know, they weren't coming on the slide, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, I stood there in the Easter show, and I was like, I recognised, like, it was about the fear of going down the slide and stuff. And so I was like, screw this. So I deliberately, when I took the kids to the Easter show, left like 6 tokens on my card thing. So I took my card and I went and lined up at this slide. And when I got to the front of the slide, the guy's like looking for my kids. And I'm like, no, it's just me. I'm like, I'm doing this. And he's just like giving me a bit of a laugh. And, you know, I went up the slide and I went down the slide. And you know what? It's a goddamn slide. I get it. But for me, it was like, I recognised in that moment, if I didn't go on the slide again this year, that was like the 3rd time in a row that I'd let this fear of heights kind of overrun, and that defeated the purpose of jumping the 14,000 feet out of a plane one time. So do you get my point? Like, just I recognised that was fear holding me back. It wasn't the fact that someone wasn't doing with me, or I didn't have enough time, or I had my bag. It had nothing to do with it. It had the fact to do with that I was scared. And so I recognised that, and went, no, I can actually step through that, and so I chose to, because you say no to a slide, the next thing you say no to something else, you know? And so I just want to leave you with that metaphor, I guess, of, so to speak, because I feel like that's where it's at. And, you know, you've got such this beautiful energy and this level of, like, intelligence and things like that around you, that I can see the things that you're actually, like, wanting and desiring and that are giving you itchy skin are possible. So go and kick some ass, and, yeah, it may be that a couple of those will be close around you, but, you know, I can smile when I say that, and I really do just want to encourage you to tap a little bit deeper in. So I hope all of that helps. All right. Now, let me catch up with the comments. I've just got a couple of cards turned around. Let me just fix it. While I do that, guys, so there's also the Tarot and Oracle workshops as well. The Tarot is in person, and that comes with the free tarot book and things like that as well involved in. But the Oracle's online. It goes a little bit shorter, and it's a lot more accessible. So that's a nice, really great little course that you can do for, I think it's like $45 or something. I'd have to check and I should know that. But that really allows you to start tapping in and using your intuition only to read cards, forgetting about the guidebooks that come with it and all that sort of stuff, but actually recognising what that card means for your intuition and being able to give a message through that. So yeah. Alright, let me... I haven't heard that. Hello. Oh, hello. I'm new. What do you see for me, please? Financial. Holy. I feel like I need to clear some things away from me before I can start focusing on what's going up. So it's almost like, if I'm growing a garden, I've got to weed it first, and that's where it feels. So I feel like I need to, you need to spend some time with the management and the recognition of it. I'll talk about it myself a lot sometimes, but money and me have always had a little bit of a relationship, and so like this year, for example, for me to get my head around exactly where everything was and my relationship with money and everything like that, because your relationship's got to be a good relationship, even if it means that at the end of the week you've not got, more than $20 or $5 left in your bank account, but you know where your money's spent, and there's a sense of peace around, because like for example, that where your food allocation is, your bills are paid and things like that, and even having that sense of knowledge over yourself, it kind of empowers, it builds a stronger relationship. And so I sat there and I created a money journal that worked for me, and I can write in that each day and keep up with myself. So I feel like there's a lot to do with just the management that lies therein. I don't feel like your financial situation is going backwards in any yards of the stick, because when I sit and clear that garden away, I almost feel like I want to sit and actually just get a little bit of advice, and that advice can come from somebody who's been there, done that, or has that little bit more financial knowledge or things like that. But just to sit and go, okay, this is where we can go moving forward, because I don't feel like you're using all of your financial strengths either. Okay, so just it's time to develop a little bit more of a relationship with money, and when I say know where it is, like I'm not suggesting that you don't know where your money is and it all just gets spent willy-nilly, but like times we can go to the Coles and we'll run in and get bread and milk, and while we're there, oh, that's on special, so I'll grab that, and then the next one might do this and might do that, and we don't recognise that at the end of the week all those $5, $10, $15 and such, they've spent like $100. And so just being aware of that honestly has such a big difference. And so I know it sounds a little bit silly at times, but seriously, have a relationship with your money, start to develop that. So again, I feel like you've got a period of management that needs to sort of pass over a few months, and then from there I feel like I can start actually allocating a little bit more out and away. If there's something that you're expecting to come in around that time, that very much can come into it as well, okay, because there's definitely a nice little, I can start to do this and that with it. So definitely improvement, but again, the relationship needs to come in first as well. All right, so I hope that helps. All right. All right. Sorry guys, I'm just recognising a little bit of a pattern through the feed here, so I'm going to be dodging those. And just remember guys, just while I'm recognising that there's a couple of obvious fake accounts sitting on the feed, then they're fine, they're not doing anything. I do want to say that as well, just remember I'll never send you a friend request, I will never message you for a reading, okay? It's just fine, and there'll always be a spelling mistake in the name, or there'll be a gap missing, or a comma in place, or some stupid thing added to it. Like it's, just be really mindful. There's a lot of, and Facebook is a computer that sits in the background and just doesn't recognise it. The people don't anyway, thank you, rats. Hi Liz, I would absolutely love a reading. I have so much on my plate at the moment and would love to know if there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I still do feel like there's a fair bit sitting there in front of you. Sometimes I always say is, well, like, try not to, just be mindful that you're not trying to deal with too much at once. Okay, so like I get that things have to be dealt with and things like that, but what I'm talking about in the background is, with that huge list that we're doing for ourselves. Sorry. That's my dog. That this we're going on for ourselves. So it might be, for example, that, you know, next month we've got to make sure. I'm just going to pick something silly because it's coming to my head. Got to make sure the curtains are washed by next month. And so 3 weeks earlier to it, we're worrying about that plus everything else. And I know I'm using a silly example, but that's the point I'm trying to get to it with, is that we're worrying about everything at once. And I get that, as I said, on a day-to-day basis, those things are all present. But on Monday, are we dealing with everything as well? You know, so on Monday, worry about this. Tuesday, worry about that. And again, I hear myself. I'm not saying it breaks down that simply, but I'm sure you get the gist of what I'm trying to say there, okay? Because I still do feel like there's there. Now, there's some things as well that, you know, that whole shit happens, energy around it. Be mindful of where you're letting your energies and your emotions sit, because I know that you're well entitled to and things like that, but if we're holding a frustration with this and we're holding a frustration with that and we're holding a concern with that, that's all of that emotion, because we're thinking about everything all the time, that's sitting on us as well all of the time, you know. And so some stuff we've got to kind of sit back and go, you know what, this but it is the way it is, and fine, okay, I'm going to let that sit and release the energy away from it. This one here that's, you know, giving you concern, it's like, all right, but I've dealt with it, I know that everything's in place with it, and kind of just making your peace with that. So it'll be a perfect opportunity, really, honestly, for you to really sit with your personal awareness and your things like that, because I always say, like, personal awareness sucks. It is in those times when we've got our biggest emotions and having to sit with our shadow selves that we get to recognise how far we fall, and we get to recognise what happens when we do that. And by having that recognition, we begin to be able to know and how to recognise those things as they're happening, and, you know, we don't fall so far, and we can manage ourselves better and things like that. And so it's like, oh yay, silver lining, I get it, but that's the way it goes, like, as far as lessons and all of that sort of stuff goes. Let me just pull you a couple of cards. It's like, if I want to use the plate analogy, you know, I've got my plate and I've walked up to an all-you-can-eat buffet, and I've taken a piece of everything, whereas I can go back to the buffet a few times. So, you know, this time I can just take my Singapore noodles, and then, you know, I can take my salad instead of, you know, carrying it all back and trying to eat it at once. When I pull your cards, you've got the external conflict card that's there. It's generally relates to outside forces and people, and that's what I'm saying. Some of these things that are there, they're there, whether we want them or not, so they've just got to be dealt with. And so not allowing that energy to actually overrun us, but finding that place where we coexist with it. Making sure as well we're aligning with people's energies and things like that. I feel like there's some ill-gotten advice that comes to you through all of that, and so people have good intentions, but if it doesn't sit right, it doesn't mean that you know what I mean. Don't try to make other people happy to your own demise. Taken 5, as I said, just, you know, one deal at a time. Internal conflict, that's obvious, that's where you're at the moment, but being caught in your own thoughts. And again, it's a really nice opportunity to sit and actually recognise the processes that go on, as much as we don't want to, you know, use those opportunities at the time. Journal. My advice is to journal. Get to know yourself, write down how you feel each day at the end of that, and all those kind of little bits and pieces. Trust me, journaling is so underrated, so underrated. So I'll leave that there with you, and I hope that helps. All right. So yeah, the friend requests are coming out already. Thank you for letting me know. So guys, just remember, I will never send you a friend request. I will never message you. Best thing is to do is just to like my page. Then you'll get notified when I'm live. And I always appreciate the like as well. And a thumbs up and a heart while you're here. Alright, Sky. Not going on at the moment, some reassurance or guidance. You feel like you have I was going to say you feel like you've got a lot going through your mind. That's not what I meant. That you somebody who sits with your thoughts. You're somebody who overthinks, but also somebody who thinks deep with those thoughts as well. And I want to kind of encourage that a little bit with you. I almost feel like I want to say to you that within your loneliness, you're going to find comfort. Okay. There's a saying that says sometimes the hand we hold is the hand that holds us down. And I just feel like you're sitting at a point where it's time to let's call it a phase. You know what I mean? Like you're growing up. I don't want to be silly with that, but that's almost what it's like. It's like, yep, this way and this people and this energy has served me for this amount of time. And it's been fun and blah 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 blah. But I'm starting to recognise that I want more, and I'm starting to recognise that I need more. And so things are no longer satisfying around, and I feel like relationships are out of distortion with you. I feel like your work side of things and things like that. I don't necessarily want to say that's all negative, but I don't feel like it's on par either. And even then when it comes into your own body and things like that, I feel like there's some digestive issues that run through you. It feels a lot that sits in my belly as well, and I feel like it sits in my head too at times. And so what I want to say to you just within that is, it's like you need a big clean out, big tune up. But there's always themes and clusters, so I'm just going to go with it. But the lessons and the things like that come around with us. If we keep hitting brick walls around us, it's because what is around us doesn't work. But it can be comfortable, or it can be familiar, or it can be what we're used to, and so it's what we operate in. And so it's like, I don't know, dropping a bloody bouncy ball down a tube, pating, 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 pating. That's all it's going to sit there and do, but at some point in time, it's always going to keep coming back to the same points because it's still in the same cylinder. I feel like you contemplate sometimes making a big move, and I just want to say to you that will work out very positively for you, but to have your work side of things set out as well first, okay? I can see, I've got messages coming through on Facebook now about friend requests and things like that. Again, guys, just be mindful. It rains, it pours. Alright, Sky, let me pull you a couple of cards. Yeah, so heartache, challenging matters of the heart, and that's what that is for me. It means that you've got to, do things that you don't necessarily want to do, but that that are right for you, and that means, working through your challenges, letting go of people around that no longer serve you, putting in that time and effort to get yourself into a different job that you want to do, or upgrade, or, whatever it is that is around you. And again, I know it's not just, oh yeah, okay, I'll just go and do that, but it starts with a choice, and it starts with a decision, and the first part of all of that is starting to look after yourself a little bit better. It always just has to be, because if you don't do that for yourself, then you're not going to give a shit if anyone else is doing it. You know what I mean? So demanding more of yourself that's first always has to come first. I have a rule with myself that I've got to smile at myself when I walk past a mirror, and there's a reason why I do that, which isn't relevant at the moment, but just, by stopping and smiling and acknowledging yourself in the mirror, it connects you with yourself, and that can help you recognise that you do deserve more as well. So Awesome. Sorry guys, I'm not frozen. Do you really want to know what happened? I forgot to turn the power on my computer. So, yes, I am back. So thank you. So Sky, I hope that all of that helps with you. But again, it's, just clearing a lot of energy that's coming in and around, alright? So you'll be able to jump onto the end of, before I froze to catch all of that. So thank you very much. But let me continue. Yeah, no, not frozen. Barbara. Alright. When I sit with your cards, Barbara, you've actually got a really nice energy that comes in and around you, and I feel like you're kind of just sitting at a point where you've got the bigger picture card, which talks about, between beyond long term, beyond self, all of those kind of little bits and pieces. But when I sit with that card with you, I feel like you've put a lot of that into play. I feel like that there has been a lot of consideration, and not necessarily everything that's come to fruition, but I feel like all the planning and everything's there, and you're starting to really sort of reap the benefits of that. And I almost want to say to you that it's came through at the right time. The next card you've got sits with the health card, and that's just talking about, emotional, spiritual, physical, all of those kind of different elements of health. But it's almost like now you're sort of recognizing those things more around you, and just all of this is starting to come into play, and you're actually able to do some things around it. You've got a transformation card that talks about blossom into true self and things like that. So as I said, I really want to sit and actually smile when I pull your cards, because I feel like over the next 12 months for you, it's like, as I said, plans that I've put into place are starting to come to fruition, and I'm going to reap the benefits and the rewards of that, and have that time out. If there is, just that time out feels so relaxed. If there is like a holiday or a trip that you've been planning, then that will sit around it. But I don't feel like it's a weekend away kind of thing. This feels quite, significant. As I said, there's a really nice sense of relaxation around you. But I want to say within that, there's a financial energy that sits there as well. So if there's been some financial gain that you've been waiting to come in or balance out and things like that, that will sit there as well, okay? As I said, I feel like I'm sitting around a 12-month side of things. But the health card for me sits really nicely in the middle of it all. As I said, I just feel like the opportunities that I've needed and the attention that I've needed to pay and things that I've been waiting to sort of work past are all sitting there, It's a good energy. So keep doing whatever it is that you are doing. Even if little challenges are pickpocketing around you, just deal with them. You know what I mean? Just deal with them, because that underlying current that's sitting there is moving you forward regardless of what's happening up here on the top of the water, okay? And I feel like, again, that you're kind of at a point where you recognise that around yourself, and perhaps maybe you feel even a little bit guilty about that at some times. But I want to validate for you around there, like, not to feel guilty. It's nice. You're like I was going to say like a little poster child of self-care, but I know that we're not all perfect at that all the time. So, but that is what I have for you. So keep doing what you're doing. That current is definitely taking you the right way, and just keep, dealing with little things along the top way as you have been. So enjoy that energy. You're definitely on a nice path. Alright, let me catch up with the comments. It's funny, and I know we've all heard it before in our own different ways and things like that, but over the last couple of years, so many things have changed and shifted and all of those type of little bits and pieces. And even if there's not been such a big impact on us directly or indirectly, there's still been the energy around, and I just feel like things are sitting a little bit stagnant sort of everywhere, and it's almost like I want to say to you, kind of just remember what was there in the first place. I don't feel like this is dead in the water. I feel like it is just that, like, that period of almost stagnant energy that I'm sitting into, and there's a lot of repetition and monotonous sort of energy that's there around, and I feel like that's become the focus, whereas before this and this and this was the focus. But just pay attention as well, because I do want to kind of either way bring amends back to where I'm sitting here, because the lush just sort of gone, you know, but by sitting and remembering why we were there in the first place and clearing a few little bits of niggly energy away, I feel like that sits nicely, okay? And I don't want to say that all the passion comes back and it's completely renewed, but I certainly do feel like there's a sense of at least contentment that sits there, and I really kind of want to have that there beforehand, because just as I'm talking to you, what they're showing me is that there's also been like a suggestion that's coming to you about something that perhaps it was like years ago you thought about doing this and it's only coming back around, but it feels like there's either an element of study attached to it or of training and things like that with it. But it's like I want to step up off here. I want to move up, but I'm moving slightly to the side. And I don't want to leave... This energy sits nicely enough, but I don't want to leave here with a negative energy. It's almost like it becomes for the wrong reasons and it taints the journey ahead. So for me, initially, it is just that, sitting back and, you know, just giving yourself time to actually recognise what it is that you enjoy, why you're there, you know, and even recognising what's not working for you anymore. And even, you know, just having recognition and peace around that, I feel like gives back a sense of control enough that, as I said, that sense of contentment can come in. Once that sits there, then I suggest you pay attention to that little voice that's running in the back of your head. And if that's moving on and even up from the current position that you're in, I would say to you that now is the time to do that. Not only because you're feeling that way, but because you've been ready for a while. But I just feel like, you know, it's, as I said, been one of those things that's just sort of sat there on the side, and now's probably a really good time to pay attention to that. All right, so I hope that helps. All right. Nice. What time are we at there? Sorry, yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought I meant to go a bit before. No. Nice. I feel like you just, I want to give, like, what comes straight to me is I just feel like I want to give you a little bit of a kick up the bird. But in that is, for that, as I said, you can see I'm smiling as soon as I sit with your energy that's there. I just feel like everything isn't out of whack around you, even though it may feel like it a little bit, and it's just that, you know, that sense of resilience that kind of can ride and then come down a little bit and ride and come down a little bit. And I just feel like there might be a little bit of that wave riding around you at the moment. But as I said, as soon as I put your cards down and I tap into your energy, I've got that silly smile on my face that feels really nice, okay? So just be sure to kind of kick your own butt if you need to a little bit. And the intention card that sits there at the end, just as always, like if we worry about what's going to happen at the worst, you know, this could happen, that could happen. How many times do we go, I told you that was going to happen? It's because all the energy that we're throwing into it, that's negative energy, or it's, you know, anticipating the worst, and that's what we kind of generally manifest. So just be mindful where your intentions lay, because it feels nice to sit there and fantasize about success and things going right as well. I mean, come on, let's admit it. So allow that good, happy energy around yourself. You know, make sure each day you're checking in and just going, yep, that makes me feel good, and this makes me feel good, and I've gone for a walk and I feel good. And I feel like as long as you keep all of those things in play around you, things will keep falling into places they're meant to with you, okay? It's, yeah, as I said, there's a nice energy that sits there with you. It makes me really want to smile. And the image as I'm checking out is like a train going down the tracks. And it's just going really nicely, you know. It can stop when it needs to. It's not out of control, but it's definitely moving on down the track. So, yeah, I don't feel like I need to say anything much more beyond you to you than that. But definitely enjoy it, all right? Keep checking in with yourself. All right. Far out, the messages are moving quickly. Billy. Alright, so guys, after Billy, I've got 2 more readings to do, and then I will be back again next week to do some more. Alright. You know, it's very easy and a simple answer to say to you, Billy, yes, okay. But we know that sometimes things take time and that we might not get the resolution that we want with them and things like that. But I do want to say to you that as much as we don't like it, challenges and all of these things around us, they do build resilience and they do build experience, and they give us moments of reflection and they change our perceptions, and somewhere in all of that, you know, things become better. But the one thing I always see, and it's something that I recognised in myself for a long time as well, is that key factor to things moving forward that's missing is generally ourselves. You know, we can sit and say, oh, the right job hasn't come up, or this hasn't done, or this hasn't, but generally it all comes back down to our efforts, our energies, our belief in ourselves. And, you know, that's a gentle process because there's been experiences and everything else like that that have built that for us. It's not like we just sit back and choose to, you know, have this attitude towards it and things like that. So it's, yes, is a simple answer, but a really complicated one, if that makes sense. You know, definitely the water, food, and I know I always come back to these things, but if you're feeling sad, lonely, frustrated, you know, a million other feelings in between, if you can remind yourself each day to make sure that you're drinking the water and at least trying to eat well and things like that, it keeps us in the best possible framework to actually move forward with these things. Like, think about being really hungry. You know, for me, I'm a hangry person, so like I can be an absolute downright cow. Other people, you know, it's different energies, but my point of sharing that is like recognising within yourself how I feel when like I haven't eaten properly, how I feel when I'm dehydrated, because once you're feeling crap like that, trying to deal with everything else as well when you're feeling like that, it just makes everything feels worse and it compounds onto each other. And because we're feeling like crap, we don't recognise underneath all of that we'd be feeling 25% better had we actually drank water, or had we actually, you know, not ignored that hunger pain or eaten, you know, the chocolate bar to fill our guts instead of something else. You know, it's, again, like, people underrate it, and you hear me over-emphasise it because I'm forever having to explain why, but this is a machine. You know what I mean? It's a machine. Go pour cordial in your car. Will it work? It's the same kind of energy that's there, you know? Don't get me wrong, I don't have it perfect yet either. But I recognise, and I definitely try my hardest. Alright, so, yeah, look, it's funny, with all of that energy into play, you will see is the cards that sit there. So you've got the sunset card that sits there, and for me, it's about, but tomorrow's a new day. So that's an end of a phase, it's an end of a way of life. It's not saying everything was garbage and crap in the background, but that you're ready to move on. Just being mindful, okay, like of the sheep in the wolf clothing around you. Not everyone has their best intentions, and not everyone's comfortable with change. So, you know, and not everyone's comfortable with watching somebody else go better around them. It's not that they don't love you or like you or anything else like that, but it makes them feel threatened or insecure to see somebody else grow and flourish around. So their responses and feedback may not necessarily be productive. So just be mindful of that energy around you as you close off, okay? And then you've just got the card, you need to call on your strength. Absolutely need to call on your strength through this. All right, so I hope all of that helps, and yeah, good luck with it all. All right, so guys, I'm going to do 2 more readings. Before I jump onto them, I just want to say a couple of things. So yeah, the workshops on the 4th and 5th of June are the psychic and the mediumship development workshops. The Saturday's the psychic, the Sunday's the mediumship. Then the following fortnight, you've got the tarot and the oracle workshops on as well. There will be a mediumship demonstration at Bonnell Space shortly as well, and next week is MBS. Yay! Maddie, I was wondering if our concerns are legitimate or not. All right. I really just need to throw my hair back. I always play with it. Alright, so when I sit with that, I feel like what I want to say is that they're founded on fact, but they're not as it seems. So, what's a... You know, like when we play, I don't want to say that this is what's happened, but I can use it as an example to try and get my point across. You know, when we play Chinese whispers, so we start off with one, you know, the cat is brown and that person whispers it, this person whispers it to that person, and so on and so on and so forth. And by the time it gets to the 10 person at the end, you're saying like the cow mooed. You know what I mean? Like it's all lost in translation. And I feel like this has got some of that energy into it now, okay? So it's almost like, you know, if I've said that there's an explosion, there's been a match lit type of energy that's there. So I really want to get all of my information, not just sort of taking it from one source or two sources, because I feel like that, as I said, that there's Chinese whispers going on. And so it's not that this person, or this person's intentionally you know, changed it or anything else like that. You'll see when Chinese whispers is played genuinely, it'll still change, but that's what it is. So I just don't feel like you have all of the communication right, and I don't necessarily feel like if it's getting imagined as this big, I feel like it doesn't need to be. So just be really mindful moving forward. But again, based on fact, but it's not. There's misinformation all over the place here to the point where it may very much change my perspective. So I want to implore you to get some more information, and I do feel like the information is there. It just may either be like either a pain in the bum or slightly uncomfortable to get it all. Okay, so I hope that helps. Alright guys, as always, you just flick on. Where have I got? And will me and Mike sort things out and move forward together in a relationship, please. Beautiful. Alright, so I'm going to read for you and in 2 sticks of a talk, but I do know that people will jump off now because you are the last reading of the evening. So I want to say thank you to everybody who has come and joined me on the live feed tonight. On your way out, please leave me a thumbs up or a heart. That's always appreciated. I will be back on again next week. It will be a different day next week because MBS is on, so more than likely either Tuesday or Wednesday evening. I will let you know on the page. Other than that, if you do want to book in for MBS, you can do so on Thursday, Friday online. Saturday, Sunday, you'll need to message me because it's running slightly different. And other than that, enjoy, have a good night, and thank you very much for joining me. The workshops there are online as well. So, and let me focus on you. And you know what's nice? I want to say to you that the energy there doesn't necessarily relate to anything specific, but it's almost like it's a general flow across. So you've got the card that talks about it's time, like you feel it and you know it. You've got the Catch the Rainbow card and the Healing card. And for me, the Catch the Rainbow card is always, just as it says, you know, your goals are not impossible. And the Healing card, it talks about being patient but allowing healing to come in, because healing, you know, it needs forgiveness. Healing needs so many things other than just to say, okay, I want to feel better. You know, it's so much more bigger than that, and it can be such a journey and such a thing. And I just feel like you're reaching a point where you're going to actually have a lot of peace and healing that comes in around. And I don't want to be as simple as that with it. Let me just sit. Things that you've been waiting to close out. So it's, you know what, it's funny, it feels like a retirement. I'm reluctant to say that it is, but that's what it almost feels like. It's like I've worked really hard for this thing, and you know, it's starting to pay off. I'm ready to walk away and gain the rewards from it. You know, that's what it feels like. And so, you know, using that, even that symbology of energy that's there, it's something coming to a close, but it's going to pay off for you and that you've put a lot of effort and work into. So yeah, it feels actually quite nice with it. It's funny because I feel like perhaps there's been some doubt, and you know, a little bit of bucket kicking along the way, and all of those kind of little bits and pieces. But when I continue to pull your cards, it just talks about trusting your intuition, You got the joy card that sits there, and that you're secure in your choices. Just stand strong with yourself. So enjoy. Even if there's a frustrating time and process that sits there around you right now, it is certainly going to pay off the way that you want it to. So I hope all of that helps. So guys, thank you again for joining me this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here, and I will see you again, as I said, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I will put it up on the page Monday when that will be. Have a good night, guys.